Maple syrup season is drawing to a close for us. It has been almost a month that we've had our taps in, so it's been a pretty crazy year. It's been absolutely marvelous, and I'm eager to do it again next year. There were a lot of things that we learned throughout this season, and the biggest one that I'm thinking of right now is that it was a lot more fun doing our first 2 boils, where we were outside on sunny, unseasonably warm days, relaxing in front of the big beautiful stove my husband had built, and one time sharing the experience with friends and a cold beverage. That was a lot more enjoyable than today, where it is very cold and very wet. And so we actually have our sap on a small propane stove here in the garage. So it is definitely not as efficient as using our awesome stove. It's taking a lot longer, and it's a lot colder, and it's a lot wetter going out and getting all of the last of our sap. But the experience itself learned was really enjoyable. People had said, and we had read, that it takes such a long time to boil the sap down to syrup, and so we knew that going in, but it still felt even longer than we expected. We did have, a good time with friends and whatnot while we were doing it, but it definitely, sorry if you're seeing all this evaporation and it's cloudy in here, but we, definitely learned that it feels that long. It's definitely not boring because you're up checking on it all the time, but really keep that in mind as you go into it. Additionally, learned that 12 trees is plenty enough for us. There's of course variation in what you're going to get every year, but we went into this thinking that we would maybe get a gallon of sap. So even if you have 2 trees, 3 trees, and you love maple syrup but don't think that's enough, go for it. We only have 12 taps in. We have about 4 gallons of syrup this year, so it's totally worth it. It's an enjoyable experience. It can be a long experience, but being out in the woods or in your yard, tapping your trees is a lot of fun. You can really have an enjoyable experience while you're boiling it down, especially if you have some friends or family, or you listen to some great music, bring a good book. It's a really enjoyable time, as long as it's not this weather. But seriously, if you have just a couple trees, tap it. Enjoy your sap and your syrup. Also learned that we did have a good setup for our sap. The IBC tote that we used to keep everything cold was super successful. None of our sap went bad, and it just was an easy way for us to get the sap to a good storage place and then easily taken out with that spigot at the bottom, so we could actually get it into our evaporator. I learned that I love my husband so much. Okay, I didn't actually learn that. I was already very clear. But I just love seeing all the great stuff he does, and it was so neat using the stove that he built for us. It's been, like I said, a fun year. Lots that we learned and lots of deliciousness to come. I hope you enjoyed watching our maple syrup series and that it was helpful for you. If you take anything away, it's that I hope you do this too. It's a lot of fun, it's really rewarding, and the first time you have pancakes from your own trees, you are just going to be utterly delighted. If you haven't yet, make sure you check out the other 3 videos in the series: tapping trees, storing sap, and then actually boiling the sap down into syrup. And to make sure you get a hold of all of the other things that we have going on here, please make sure you're hitting that subscribe button so that you are aware of all of the fun we have going on. Thank you for hanging out with us for this syrup series, and we will see you back here in a week or 2 with some of the other fun stuff we've got going on. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time here at the Minnesota Homestead.